Thanks. And I want to welcome you on behalf of everyone at the Real Estate Roundtable to our 2021 State of the Industry meeting. I'm your chair, Deboer. We want to begin by thanking all of you for your support of our terrific organization, and for those of you who participate on our policy advisory committees, and of course for joining us at today's meeting. I also want to wish all of you and yours a very happy, healthy, and successful 2021. Today we have a great meeting for you, and we expect to present some really unique and valuable and new insights for you into the health and economic impacts of the pandemic, the inner workings of the Washington policymaking world, what the recent changes in Washington mean for the economy and for your businesses, and how our industry can come together to sponsor a positive, constructive path forward. It's kind of amazing that it's been a year since we last met in person at the State of the Industry meeting a year ago. And since then, of course, we have all experienced tremendous challenges in many dimensions: health, economic, and equality. We've witnessed senseless murders resulting in a long overdue reckoning on racial and gender barriers to opportunity that have long existed in our country. And clearly, we also have faced extreme shocks to both our democracy and our government that culminated in the violent attack on the US Capitol itself and the second impeachment of our former president. Yet, it's wonderful to see that both democracy and our government proved resilient, as evidenced by the effective transfer of power at President Biden's recent inauguration. I thought the power of the inauguration was enhanced by the attendance of all three of our last two-term presidents, Clinton, Bush, and Obama, who pledged their unity and support for the new administration. And the power of the inauguration was elevated to an incredible extent by the magic of a young woman's poetry. The inauguration and related events and the magnificent symbolism of our national monuments were something we can all be proud of and rally around. And our industry of building owners also distinguished themselves by participating in the January 19th National Illumination event, commemorating the many individuals who we have lost to COVID-19. To all of our members who participated beautifully in the illumination event, thank you and congratulations. Through all of this year's events, the Real Estate Roundtable and its experienced team, of course, led by our longtime CEO, Jeff Deboer, have marched forward with their usual focus and effectiveness. They've continued to constructively represent the real estate industry on important policy matters across the board. They serve as a fact-based, bipartisan proponent of constructive solutions that are designed to benefit the whole economy and our industry and create jobs and more inclusive economic growth. Now, recently, we've made some decisions that some might consider to be tough calls. We were one of the first Washington industry groups to denounce the January 6th violent mob attack on the Capitol and the underlying claim of a stolen election. We were also one of the first industry political action committees to suspend political support for members of Congress who supported the goals of the mob and voted against certifying the election. And lastly, we are one of the only groups to recently announce that we will support policymakers who are interested in seeking bipartisan solutions, and of course won't support those who won't cross the aisle. And while these actions certainly would have their critics, we feel strongly that they were right and reflect the kind of leadership that our organization represents. So today, you'll have the chance to see the Roundtable's impact on display and during the Policy Advisory Committee meetings tomorrow. We can also be proud of our organization's commitment to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in our industry. We have launched our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee under the able leadership of Related CEO, Jeff Blau, and we expect great strides toward more inclusive opportunities from our partnership with the Real Estate Executives Council, or REIS. I want to thank both Jeff and REIS for their participation and leadership. Moreover, in partnership with many national real estate organizations, we are proud to support our Careers Building Communities Coalition to mentor and inspire young minority students about the benefits of a career in real estate. And we have all enjoyed those benefits and want to share them more broadly. So today's meeting, as I said, is designed to help all of us gain insight into the policies we can expect from Washington near term and in the coming years. Today, to that end, we will hear from three very important incoming chairs of relevant Senate committees: banking, tax, and energy. These incoming chairmen will be quite candid in discussing their priorities and how we can support constructive solutions. Key policy topics include aid to cities and states, infrastructure, renters assistance, tax, liability protection, diversity and equality, climate and sustainability, and financial support for struggling households and businesses. On the public health front, we are very fortunate that Dr. Scott Gottlieb has agreed to rejoin us for an hour to share his expertise and predictions about the new vaccines, the administration's plans to beat the virus, and when we will be ready for a safe reopening and recovery of our economy. And finally, I hope you'll join us this evening for a fireside chat with President Obama's Commerce Secretary, Penny Pritzker, our dear friend and former Roundtable member. At the end of the meeting, we'll take a very short break. And then, after you get a beverage in hand, we will rejoin to hear Penny discuss leadership, what the incoming administration is facing, and global and national trends of interest. It's going to be a great day. I want to conclude my remarks by thanking the entire Real Estate Board of Directors for their strong support and innovative thinking, and in particular, our administrative committee and my friend John Fish, who will become chair of the Roundtable this July. Please know that the Roundtable remains financially solid and even strong. I want to thank all of you who've continued to support the organization by sending in your dues, and for those of you who are those of you where the check is in the mail, we look forward to your support in the coming year as well. You should also know that we're actively managing our expenses as an organization, and we are really thoughtful about how we are reaching you through virtual communications and our advocacy. During this time, I want you to know where your support is going. Our mission has remained consistent and unwavering, and it continues to be to bring the top leaders in the real estate industry together with our leading trade associations to address the key national policy issues relating to our industry and to the overall economy. We continue to invest in solid issue research and to advocate responsible long-term solutions to problems. And our mission continues to require that we anticipate changes in the economy, our industry, the needs of tenants, so we can help policymakers understand coming changes and the policy actions that are needed to address them. And once again, I want to thank all of you for your support, for participating in our committees, and for supporting our PAC. And before we go to our first guest, I want to turn the floor over to our fearless leader, Jeff Deboer, so he can talk in greater detail about our issues and priorities for the coming year. But before I do, I want to let all of you know that Jeff was once again named in December by The Hill magazine as one of Washington's top lobbyists. And we are so fortunate as an organization to have him and the entire team who are very skilled and very dedicated to representing all of you. So I want to thank the team and Jeff for those efforts. And now over to you.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. And I guess my mic's on. Is my mic on? Yeah, it's on. Deb, thank you very much. That was really nice of you to say that. And it is true. Our team works very, very hard. Loves the industry, loves the job. And thank you for saying that. It means a lot to all of us. But I have been receiving a couple of texts here that have of people watching this who say, gee, Jeff, you look great. I know that you're lying to me. Okay. I know you're all lying to me, but thanks. That's nice to hear. It has been a difficult few months here, but we soldier on. A couple of housekeeping items, I guess. First of all, if you haven't downloaded your app, your meeting app, download the app, because that's going to give you the program and the bios and other background information. So you'll want to do that, and you were emailed that. So please do that. It'll help you get the most out of the meeting that you can. Please fill out the sentiment index survey. That's important to us, and it's important to how we think, and it's important to our brand. So take a couple of minutes to please fill that out. And here's another little thank you. You know, at the end of the year, last year, we sent out a survey on all issues, and you all filled that out. We're compiling the data now, and next week, or very shortly after this meeting, after the committees meet and everything, we will be issuing our 2021 policy agenda that will outline, you know, how we see things and what our priorities are for the coming year. So thank you for that. We've spent basically since the crisis began, we've been focusing on how we can help those who have lost their jobs, and how we can help businesses that have been closed, either by government fiat or of their own volition, to help the health of all of us. And that's been priority number one for us, and it continues to be priority number one for us. We've also tried to advance the idea that employers need to have some protection from liability, from lawsuits and so forth. We're not looking for the protection of gross negligence or anything like that, but we want a roadmap that people can follow. And if they follow it and do what they're supposed to, they should not be sued then for not doing something that they didn't even know about. So we're continue to be supportive of that. We're obviously very, very concerned, and have been and promoted it and continue to promote aid to cities and states. I think that we all will agree that until cities are stabilized and are able to make their metro systems or their subway systems or their transportation systems or other parts of their communities safe and healthy, we know that we won't have the robust recovery that we all want. So we need state and local assistance. And there's a few other things that are very important in this shorter term COVID bill. Longer term, we continue to support tax policy that we think makes sense from a point of view of the economics of the transaction itself. We're not interested in subsidies, and we don't want to be penalized on the tax front. And that's why, and we've argued it for years, and we will continue to argue it. And we've also connected all of our issues to jobs, but that's why, we continue to benefit from the like-kind exchange provision, the only industry where we continue to be the industry that can deduct interest on business debt, basically the only industry, and a variety of other things that we've, over the years, well, the decades actually, to try and connect to the economy. And we continue to do that. On credit and capital, we're very active to make sure that we can keep an appropriate flow of capital. Right now, we're heavily involved in this pandemic risk insurance issue. We think going forward that the markets and the economy might need the benefit of a federal program, similar but not exactly like TRIA, but similar to the terrorism risk insurance program. So we've stood up a coalition with our real estate trade industry partners and others, the broadcasting industry, the entertainment industry, event planning, sports, and we're all working on that. And we think we'll have that teed up as the year develops. Sustainability, same thing. We're looking for ways where we can help, create more energy efficiencies, make our assets more sustainable, and be a positive voice in all of this. So that's in general what our points of view are. Those of you who serve on committees, and Deb thanked people for their work on committees. The committees are terrific, and that's where we get the analysis. So I want to double down on her thank you to you, because the work of the tax and credit and capital, sustainability, research, homeland security, diversity, all of these things are very important to help us know what in the world we're doing. So I appreciate that. And I guess the other thing that I would say is, this has been very stressful for, I think, the whole country, watching what happened after the election, and the demeanor and the tone of public discourse. I think we're all concerned about that, and it culminated in the attack on the Capitol building, and it affected, I think, all of us. But those of us who work in Washington were definitely hit hard by that. And I put in the app, once you do download the app, those of you who don't have it downloaded, you don't know what I'm talking about, but that's APP. Go to your app store, and you'll see in our documents, I put out statements that we issued after the attack on the Capitol. Deb referenced, and we issued a statement on our political support, our participation in the Illumination event. But also on the app is a editorial that our very own Ryan McCormick authored, and was published in a few newspapers down in Florida. Ryan worked in the Senate for a number of years and provided his firsthand reaction. And I think everybody should reach it. Now, we're going to quickly add something to the agenda. We've been talking to the White House about having, someone there visit with us today. And obviously they have a lot of things going on, but we are fortunate that Zach Butterworth, who is the Director of Public Engagement for the Biden White House, has a few minutes with us today. Zach is a political hand. He worked for Cedric Richmond on Capitol Hill. He worked for Mary Landrieu, Senator Landrieu. Then he went back for Mitch Landrieu in New Orleans when he was mayor. And so, Zach, are you with us? And maybe you could give us 5 minutes of the Biden administration and how we can be helpful.
Sorry, Jeff. He sent a note. He is now not able to join us.
Oh, well,
Sorry.
There you go. Now, everyone sees what my life is about, on and off. But I think that, we don't have to feel at all negative about that. These are very hardworking people, and they're very, very hard times, and people are getting pulled all the time. So I'm sure that we've got one in the bank, so to speak, with Zach and his pals over there. So we'll soldier on. The other thing that I wanted to mention before we get to Senator Wyden is, our PAC. And thank you all for your last year's support of our PAC. It helped us be very active and support those who first of all, want to be bipartisan. They play nice in the sandbox. We support them. They understand the importance of growing communities and real estate and the connectivity to jobs, and we support them. And your investment in our political action committee helped us do that. Scott Reckler and Marty Chico and Glenn Shannon share that. So thank you for that. But guess what? It's a new year. And so we do need to recapitalize our political action committee, and we'll be asking for your support once again in that. So I am just about done with my remarks. I'm hoping that Senator Wyden will be appearing soon. The other item that I would bring up, I guess, is that, we've got Senator Wyden live with us. We have 3 incoming chairmen of the new Democratic controlled Senate. 3 people with big jobs, with big responsibilities that are going to be dealing with huge bottom line interest issues for us and for the economy. Ron Wyden has been with us a few times. Senator Wyden, the chair of the Finance Committee now. He'll be with us in a few minutes. Then we have recording. I recorded an interview yesterday with Senator Joe Manchin, who is the incoming chair of the Energy Committee from West Virginia. Now, a lot of you may not have anything in West Virginia, but guess what? Joe Manchin is a very, very important person, and he's all over the news today. And that interview is quite illuminating. I commend you to read that. And then Senator Sherrod Brown, the chair of the Senate Banking Committee, who now has jurisdiction over so many issues that affect us. Housing, number one, Fannie Mae, and how the low income, housing affordability, housing availability, issues like that. And he will also be the one who deals with our pandemic risk insurance issue. So those 3 gentlemen are quite important to the process, and we're honored that they're going to join us at some point today. Penny's going to be here tonight, Penny Pritzker with Deb, and we all know the tremendous perspective that she's going to bring to our meetings today. So I will stop and invite Deb or John to comment, and if not, we'll just await Senator Wyden, who should be pretty prompt. Senators, are prompt. They were all sworn. They're all awaiting the impeachment, I guess. But I will stop. Go ahead, Deb.
Jeff, obviously the incoming administration is going to try to end the COVID pandemic, which obviously is fundamental to the economic recovery. Can you talk about some of the other aspects of the Biden administration's plan that you think as an industry, we can be really involved in and that will be great for real estate owners?
Well, I think the first of all, they've put out this plan, the 1.9 trillion. And I think that a number of senators, Democrats, have now come out and said that maybe there are items in that plan that are not necessarily COVID related and should be put on the sidelines for a little bit, including things like the minimum wage bill and maybe some other things. So first of all, I would guess that 1.9 trillion dollar proposal is going to be whittled back. Maybe substantially. Remember where we ended up at the end of last year. The Republicans were willing to take 500 billion. I'm sorry. These numbers I just can't. 500 billion.
Yeah.
And the proposal from the House Democrats at one point was 3 trillion, and it came down to around 2 trillion, and they ultimately settled on 900 billion. So now I think that that can be a measurement for us. I think that obviously something less than 1.9, but something north of 500, I think. And there's a lot of senators, again, who would like to see the current money that has been allocated from Congress. Almost $5 trillion has been allocated from Washington over the last 9 months. And there's a number of people who would like to see how that seeps in. But they also acknowledge that there's a lot of hurt out there, that people need assistance, that businesses need assistance, that states and cities need assistance. So I'm optimistic that something will come together on that. And I think we can play our constructive role of cheerleading and pushing and urging that this go on. We're not asking for anything directly for our industry. If people get money to pay rent, obviously it helps us, but it helps us meet our tax obligations, our payroll, and so on and so forth. So I think, we can be helpful there. As we go forward, and perhaps Senator Wyden will get into this, but, there's going to be an effort to reform taxes, provide more opportunities for people, maybe deal, with the inequality that people talk about so much, income inequality. And I think that we have to approach this, with a very much of an open mind and a willingness to play a positive part in moving this legislation forward. I think it's too early right now to say this provision or that provision is objectionable. I think we all know what now President Biden talked about on the campaign trail, but we also know that people talk about a lot of things on the campaign trail. And so let's keep our I don't want to say powder dry, because that implies we're going to fire our powder. I mean, I just think we should let the process come a little bit, and let's see where it goes and figure out where we can be helpful. The other thing, Deb, that I would say is I think, talking to roundtable members and the board, of course, but I think everybody is ready or is seeking and thirsty for bipartisanship, for better tone, better discourse in public debate. And that's mainly what I think we should be promoting here, and supporting those people who want that, thanking those people who maybe go against their leadership here and there, and take bold steps. And there's a number of us in DC that do this for a living who I think are coming to that conclusion, and we want our memberships to be there as well.
And John, where do you see the greatest opportunities for us as you look forward?
As we've spoken in the past, I think one of the biggest opportunities we have is to educate, I think, the new congressional leadership and the staff that has come to Washington recently. As we all know, I think since Trump has stepped down, there's been quite a new group of individuals that are really going to be dealing with over the next 2 to 4 years. And I think it gives us a wonderful opportunity to build on the credibility that Jeff has already established, also establish that with other members of Congress. I also think that we can, as an organization, especially at this particular point in time, I think help people really understand the true impact that real estate has on driving our economy forward. I think quite often people take that for granted, and Jeff often speaks very eloquently about it. But at the end of the day, if we don't have a healthy real estate business industry, we don't have a healthy economy, and they are synonymous.
I got that weren't reached, but tomorrow at the tax committee, Ryan McCormick and Frank Creamer and his group are meeting, and they're going into things in detail. So tune in there.
What was your favorite part of Senator Manchin?
Well, I think that he very clearly laid down his point of view, which is a very strong point of view about the size and scope of this next bill, by saying, we want to understand where the relief needs to be made, not just send dollars out. That was clear from him. I think he made a pretty good point on state and local assistance. He said, it will be on a needs basis, which is good, and singled out New York, Chicago. He said that. He also said on taxes that he didn't want to throw, I think his comment was, a rock in the lake or something like that, and disrupt the economy. So he's got in his mind that we don't want to have tax increases in the face of trying to get the economy going. And he also basically made that basic point that I think that we all, when we deal with elected officials and we think they're crazy and how can somebody hold these jobs and stuff, but he made the basic point that I'm going to judge everything on my ability to take that back to my voters, my people in West Virginia. And I think that, you know, we have to understand that a lot of these people, you know, when they're driven by something, they're driven by back home. And if back home doesn't like it, they're going to lose their job. So we have to keep that in mind. Maybe there were some other big points.
Well, as
But I
my
was on the
mother,
phone, so
you
I
know,
missed
as my
it.
mother would say, we need more people up there with common sense, and he has common sense.
Yeah, and he's, you know, look, he's been at all, he's done it all. He's been a state and local official. He's been a governor. He's been a senator now for quite some time. And he's swimming against the stream in terms of, I think Trump won in by 30 points probably, or something like that. And meanwhile, Manchin wins. So he's got to do that. And I guess I'm sorry that I interrupted the start of it. That video and all the other videos are available. We're going to send all of those out. So if the first couple of minutes, you'll be able to, everyone can do that. We do have another video that we have previously sent on Sherrod Brown, Senator Sherrod Brown, chairman of the banking committee. That is equally interesting, very interesting interview. And then at the board meeting today, we had a political discussion with a Washington Post commentator, Steve Pearlstein, and we're going to send that out. It's quite interesting on his advice on how to bring bipartisanship together. So again, I hope you've all had a great day tonight. We've got Deb is interviewing our former member and past Commerce Department Secretary Penny Pritzker on leadership and trends and stuff.
And I promised her you'd all show up at 7 o'clock Eastern. So
please go make your phone calls, not like me, make them after off the line, and and then come back, because it's going to be great tonight. And thank you, Deb, and thank you everyone for viewing.
Great day. More to follow. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, we'll see you